Hey guys, it's Casual Friday. That means it's Medium Nancy Matz Friday, and today's topic is what's lying in wait for you in the dark. We'll be right back. Grab your popcorn and snacks. Find a comfy spot, take a seat or lie down, and let me transport you to a place of fantasy, ghost stories, ancient legends, odd creatures, alien encounters, and other magical topics. You may even decide to join the conversation. From faraway lands to your own backyard, with a small dash of pixie dust, turn out the lights and open your minds. The journey is about to begin. Happy Friday, everybody. How's everybody doing? I hope you stay great. It's been an interesting day, to say the least. Anyway, my name is Charlotte. I'm going to be your host for the next hour or so. I'm also the owner of the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team, based out of Sacramento, California. We are 45 strong up and down the state, and that means if you are fortunate enough to get a hold of us, which we're easy to find, we can help you out. But it might take us a couple days to get to you. California is a really big state. A lot of people don't realize how large we are. You know, and we've got beaches, we've got deserts, we've got high desert, low desert. It's low desert. I almost said desert. That's where my mind is. You know, we've got farm areas, we've got foothills, we've got big mountains. I mean, we got a little bit of everything here. And we run from south to north. And I mean, it's just huge. It may look kind of skinny on a map, but it's big. It's big. Anyway, welcome everybody. It is Casual Friday, and Medium Nancy Matz is here, and we're going to have a continuation of our conversation last week about what lurks in the night and in the dark. And so Nancy's going to be talking about that. But in the meantime, before you get up there, if you're watching from Facebook, and a lot of you are, and you like what you see and hear tonight, please feel free to hit that follow button. We're always looking for followers, and talk amongst yourselves in the California Haunts Radio chat room. That would be great. What that does is that puts us up higher in Facebook's computer, which takes notice of our show, and they then distribute us out to more people. It's kind of like you guys hitting that share button, which is something else that I'd like you to do tonight to help me out too, to share, okay? Now, if you're watching from YouTube, same kind of rule, show us some love. If you haven't signed up as a subscriber already, feel free to do so. I mean, on your own free will, of course, right? On your own free will. But yeah, feel free to do so. And I've got more than 1,000 videos sitting over there. All of this show. They're not all like paranormal topics because I'm a journalist, photojournalist, so I like to change it up every once in a while. So if you look in there, you'll see some different some different folders. If you're into Medium Nancy Matz, obviously you are. You wouldn't be here tonight. If you're into Medium Nancy Matz, you can go into her folder and see her shows going back for almost 2 or 3 years of doing them on the show. So you can go back and click, and there it is, right there. Same thing with cryptids or whatever it is you're into. Okay, it's all over. It's all over there on that page. Again, please hit that subscribe button, and during the show, if you like what you hear, please give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. And also share us around. In fact, I have people who listen to this show, and they put me in their pocket when they're cleaning house. So I get to go all over people's houses, and things like that. So when they take the garbage out, I'm there, right in the pocket. So yeah, feel free to do that, and do, like I said, thumbs up, show us some love tonight, and all that good stuff. Same thing with Twitch. They all work the same. So, okay, I think I said enough. Big announcement, big doings. I'm opening up a store. With some cool t-shirts. Halloween themes. Halloween's right around the corner. So I did some Halloween themed t-shirts, and I'm working on, I know I've had requests for this before for California Haunts Radio t-shirts. And I have had them for a while, but I had to change some stuff because things changed here. So I'm working on a new version of the California Haunts Radio t-shirt for you guys, so that'll be up there as well. I plan to open the store tonight. I'll have a link on Facebook. I'll put a link over at YouTube. We'll throw another link over at Meetup for you guys to buy some merch. Okay, might even create some hoodies for you guys, some haunting hoodies. But yeah, I'm going to be setting that up over at Printful. So just a quick FYI. All right, okay, guys. Well, without further ado, let me bring Medium Nancy Matz in, and we'll get into this conversation. Let's do it.
Hi, everybody. I haven't looked in the chat room. Let me put my,
Nobody home
no
yet.
one's here yet.
We got
Well,
someone.
it's
Someone's
it's a,
lurking. I see someone's lurking,
pardon
but
me?
nobody on the chat. There's somebody in here. I have a number one up there, but that doesn't mean anything. You know why? Because you guys are sneaky. You guys are sneaky because some of you might come in the chat room. Some of you might hang out and lurk. I'm a lurker. I love to lurk for shows. I don't
A
like it where I am. Is
lurking
so
around,
some of you are lurkers, right?
Lurking. Yes.
Yeah. So some of you lurk. So I mean, yeah, you guys cheat. You guys cheat. But welcome
I
everybody. Welcome
I
Nancy.
also do that
Yes.
when
Uh,
I'm in the front room here. I have other projects, and I'll turn something on and like your show and listen to it in the background. This is a continuation of what's in the dark in the night, and I'm implying what scares us. Really briefly, because some of you may not get to the first show, I will kind of breeze over this a little bit that I want then to get to the meat of the show for tonight, and that's prevention, recovery, dealing with children, which is kind of like it's amazing when I started thinking about the show that a lot of our wounds, silent wounds, and I often relay to the client, I see a problem at 3, 4, 5 years old. Oh, and they go, oh, was I abducted or was there the big black secret that no one wants to talk about? It could be so subtle. So I have a tendency to get real excited. I want to go, but I want to start up a little bit here. Being afraid of the dark often starts in childhood and is viewed as a normal part of development. Let's scare the heck out of our child. Father picks the child up and throws him in the air, and the child goes, or sitting on the couch watching a spooky movie, and a parent or a friend comes over and zaps the child. And I want to
mhm,
kind of address that. So, normal part of childhood is to watch the child be scared. And how many YouTube fun videos do you see out there? And someone's being scared of all ages. Why do we get such pleasure out of it? Well, I'm going to address some of that. Studies focus on this phobia have shown the humans often fear the dark for its lack of any visual stimuli. So
mhm,
if you were to walk into a closet and no light, you stand for a few minutes, we evaluate the room, we can no longer feel the peripheral of the room, the walls. After a while, I addressed this last week of the tanks that scientists will study the lack of stimuli or
mhm,
they float on water. And after a while, you can't feel the peripheral of the tub. You can cause yourself all kinds of really strange hallucinations and whatever.
mhm,
And the other one is the room that they have. I've actually seen on TV. I thought it'd always be fun to be that psychic in the silent room with all the padding on it and see if I could do a reading. Well, it doesn't matter because your spirit will leave you and go to whomever you want. And I always thought that'd be fun for me because it's been 33 years I've been doing this about any condition possible other than one of those, Char, what they call the ultimate silent room. Is that it? I have no idea. Do you remember what I'm talking about? I've seen them on TV so many times it just popped in my head just as we're talking. But a lot of us, and I am one of them, I would like to have my voice sound better. So I'm going to put a place on the other side of the room like Char is in a alcove. And she's put stuffing on the wall so that the voice doesn't hit a wall and bounce back and forth, back and forth. Um, so the tone will be better because I'm a little older, and as I've noticed, my voice is not as nice as it once was. Uh,
mhm,
in other words, what we can't see, we will conjure up all kinds of problems. The only fear we're born with is the action of falling. And there's some videos. There's a gentleman from another country, and he's a pediatrician. And there's a newborn is brought to him. He evaluates the arm movement and the heartbeat, all that. You can see him kind of looking the child over. And then in one instant, the child's okay. And then he lets the child drop about 5 inches, and the arms go up in a terrified action. That is the only fear that we're born with. And everything else is I'm not going to go past life memories, possibly, but the others are learned, whether we learn it from a relative or it happens to us or we see a movie. And I want to bring that up because when July 1954 movie came out, And I do not remember much about my parents being together. I don't have a lot of memories of my dad. He was killed April 1st, 1955. I was only 6 years old. But they took me to the movies, and it wasn't a cute little movie like Up or In and Out. And the newest one now is IF, Invisible Friend. It was on the waterfront with Marlon Brando. And I was sitting there, and all this violence on the screen, and I thought it was real. And I remember getting very upset, mom getting mad at me. And of course, in those years, the theater was big enough that, and she put me in the seat behind her. And she says, "Be quiet." And I remember getting on the seat and then sitting on the floor. I mean, I could have crawled away. And and the violence, I don't know if that's why I'm not a pacifist. I can get very riled up, and Charles and I talk about I can get angry, I can be defensive, but there's some part of me that's afraid of violence like that. And I think it goes all the way back to when I saw the only movie where my mom and dad went to a theater and had to take us. I don't know where Bonnie it was, my younger sister. She was 5, but I was 6. And I remember my mother getting mad at me. Okay, you're going to sit behind me. And I remember thinking, what are you doing with me? You're putting me away. You're getting rid of me. Can you imagine a 6-year-old? Well, that's that was then, and this is now. So that happened to me. And how it manifested in my life, I don't know, but it was the first time I was really afraid. I was so young. The second time, and I've already told you it was the year before, and it was Easter, and my parents came in, and I just remember the figures of them. My mother was very tiny build, not like me at all. She never got over 103 pounds at 5'3", little tiny person. My father was very slim, over 6 foot tall, very thin. I remember seeing them as big. And they said, well, during the night, a bunny rabbit came and left your Easter basket. And I was petrified. I was so, I went, oh, what? And I remember looking under the bed to see if it was still there. How many times have we traumatized our children by saying, oh, the Easter bunny came and was under your bed? Really? Do we not talk to the child first? An invisible bunny will come and bring you the Easter basket. We don't think of that. We think we're happy and get excited about the child, and it's sitting there thinking, what was under my bed? And I wasn't much of a candy eater. I looked at this basket, remember thinking, what am I going to do with it? And I also, I'm not a contrary person at all, but I remember being a critical thinker even at that age. And it was the same with when I had near-death experience. I never talked about it. Yes, I've talked about it more now because it's part of my conversation with you. And and instead of going, wow, this is exciting, we had no TV. We never looked at the newspaper. My mother didn't read to us. Bonnie and I were only a year apart, so we kept each other company. And then I had my tonsils out, and before I went to bed, my mother gave me an aspirin. Well, guess what happens when you have an aspirin? So when I went to sleep, my next memory was her boyfriend, my future stepdad, picking me up and running to the car and getting in the car. And then I was in the hospital a bit of time because I bled out. And this woman was so big compared to me. And I was never holding her hand and having to reach up. And then she was telling me, and, well, this is where you have to go back. You're going to have future kids in your life. I didn't understand that. And the only thing I could think of was, who's this woman? And it scared me. It was like you should be happy. You pass out, I'm looking, who set me up with this person? And that's just like me to question it. And we are traumatizing our children with all these things that are going on in the world and arguing. And I want to address some of those here a little further down. Uh, and I've already addressed this fear, darkness, and night often starts in childhood between the ages of 3 and 6. At this point, it may be a normal part of development. It's also common at this age to fear ghosts, monsters, sleeping alone, and strange noises. So, guess what? We have ghost hunters, TV shows on TV all the time. And then we have spooky movies coming out, and the commercial comes on. So, you have a 3, 4, 5-year-old watching TV, and what happens? We have little games with Scooby Dooby, and that's my reference 20 years ago. And we have little cartoons. I have little babies in my family, 6 and 8 year olds, and grandchildren, and they have all kinds of little games they play on the phone and tablet, and it's all spooky, wooky little things. Are we toughing them up? My husband really, really enjoys all the cop shows. He's in there watching whole life. What if we had a child in our household, 10, 12, 14-year-old even, and they see this continual line of violence? I'm advocate free TV, free, if you want to watch it, well, go for it. I am not one that restricts us, but I do believe it harms us. And it first gives us fear, and then we dream about it. We become anxious about it. And then we toughen up, a child, toughen up and want to control it. And that can lead to them being violent because their fear that is generated by something they seen they forgot plays out unconsciously. Now, I don't have an answer. I'm not into politics. I can't say no, we should stop it because I think we have to get to a tipping point of saying it's like the shootings in the schools. What those children going to grow up when they see their friends being blown up next to them? The child is dead. The child that lives, part of them have died also. So that's carried over into trauma drama in the night, in the dark. So remember, I want to bring up ideas because I think about this stuff all the time, these actions, and I really don't have answers. I don't have answers because I believe that we should have shows, we should be able to watch. If people believe they want guns, who am I to say maybe not? Because the action of the perpetrator, that life has ended. The life of the child at 6, 7, 8, 9 years old is forever changed. And what kind of adult damage is that going to be doing, especially to relationships? And I told you earlier all the movies that are out here. Yeah, we have cute little movies for kids, but alongside of that, they watch TV over dad's shoulder. And I did bring up a movie, Jaws, 19. I have to look at it. I didn't look it up. Uh, it's on TV now. Jaws 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And Piranha 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I don't know, at that time I was oh my gosh, I might have been 25. And what year would that have been? I can't even remember. Can't think of through it. But at the time, I think it was 76 and 77, 76. And Jaws was on the movies. It was the most terrifying thing I've watched. My husband looks at me and goes, "You're scared of this?" I went, "Oh my God, I've never seen anything as frightening as that little girl in the beginning, 16, 17, 18 years old, being chopped to death by a shark. You think I was afraid to get in the water?" Yeah. And it's interesting over the years I talked to people, we could be afraid of the water, but the fear is not necessarily the water, it's the darkness of the water and not being able to see what's inside of it. That follows us because we can't understand what we cannot see. That follows us as a child watching Jaws on TV to other aspects of our life. Okay. And I did bring up Passengers, um, movie Passengers, Anne Hathaway, and a few other movies. Um, Beetlejuice was fun, but what kind of problems is Ghost Whisperer was a softer version of Talking to Spirits, and I would not have a bad feeling if some were edited, but most of them that children could see that. So then the part two for tonight, I wanted to cover that kind of quick, was um, treatment. How do we deal with this kind of stuff? And there is all kinds of treatments out there. Is there one over the other better? Well, there's a few things. I've always had a I have to talk about me sometimes, you guys, because I have a reference point. I can't talk about what scares Shar. I have to talk about what scares me. So one time, uh, I've always had a problem with spiders. Most women do. And it's not like I'm afraid of spiders because you can look on the internet and the spiders are kind of cute. They got cute, cute eyes, 1,000 each side. An ant is an insect, kind of a spider looking thing. What frightens us is the spider shows up out of anywhere. I was clean. It just happened. I have cats. Yeah, I'm a cat lady. My childless, I guess, because my children are gone. But I have two cats, and one of them is right next to me. I have a bench here, and it's better than having them on top here, right? Typing. And cats, they want to be right in front of the computer screen. So I was petting the cat, and I felt this thing on my hand, and the cat had a spider in its fur. His, it's both he's. And I went, "Are you kidding me?" And before I went and looked at it, I went, "Oh no!" And Joe turned around so fast and chewed it up, and it was gone. I couldn't even tell what kind it was. It was just small. And I thought, well, where did that spider come from? And I opened the refrigerator, and there was another spider. It's the same kind. So we have a mama and papa around here. And it wasn't so much it was the spider, it was that it showed up unexpectedly. It shocked us. Where did it come from? This happened about a month or so back. I was in the bathroom and a spider fell down from the ceiling. I went, "What? No spider webs up there." But there was a spider, came right down. And it was a shock of the unknown, the shock of not knowing. And this plays over in the dark. If it happens in the daylight, it can happen at night. How many of you gone to bed in the darkened bedroom and you stepped on something and it wiggled? Hello, don't do that again. I have seen them, and they say, "Oh, you got carpet in your house? Always keep your shoes or socks on." Not me. I'm going to go barefoot and have the oils under my feet, walk on carpet. Yeah. As my husband said, what's the point of spending a lot of money on carpet if you have to put a shoe on? You also not have it. Okay, I'll get it. So in some ways, you're opening up to something you're going to step on and you don't know it's there or not. Can you imagine in the darkness of night, nighttime in the dark, you're going to step on a spider? Am I spooking everybody? I hope so. We adults can deal with it. What about a child? And my focus tonight is how to help us. A lot of times when we have fears and drama and trauma, and it plays out in our personality or in our relationships with people, especially a spouse, spouse could say some word that will trigger. Now, most of you are aware, don't know. I love camping. It's something to do with oak trees, pine trees. And the few times that I did horse races that were long distance, one of my favorite was at Humboldt. I think it was a 31 mile. It was in the redwood trees. Oh my gosh, I was in heaven. It's funny how people will be divided. Those who love the ocean, like my sister, she'll do anything to get on sand. And I will do anything to lean up against a tree and go, "Oh, how wonderful. I have a big pine tree right here." And it's nice that sometimes I can open the window up and better just that day and smell it. Just wonderful. Um, but at the I got I got thinking about pine needles and everything. Um, so the love of the forest also opens up the idea that wherever you are, you don't know what is around us. I was going to make a point and I talked myself out of knowing what it was. So exposure therapy is what I'm speaking to. And when you're doing an event like that, you're going to be exposed to all kinds of little critter bicker little things that can get to us. And um, trauma drama can start at any time. The darkness doubles and triples those issues. Um, and so they call it exposure therapy. Well, anyway, getting back to the spider thing. I've had spiders on me most of my life, and I don't know, after a while you think I get over it, but what cured me, was we lived in Sierra Vista, which was a wonderful place. It was part of military base was there. It's right next to the Mexican border, and we went shopping there once in a while. There's a golf course down there. I had an opportunity to work at Tombstone, Arizona for a year. It was fabulous. And Char actually came down with a friend, and we did a quiet ghost investigation. And of course, I see the ghosty boasies, and I go, "Oh, look at those in the they're everywhere." And I've had a lot of fun. Next Friday, we're going to talk about some ghosts I've seen in my subdivision here. And then what do you do with the information? And so we're going to talk about what do you do when you see a spirit and identify who they are. Validation is everything. So I've seen three spirits in the neighborhood uh, that the manager of the complex says she knew every one of them who I'm talking about. So it was a good validation. Um, and so that is, so getting back to Sierra Vista, let me stay on the thread and stay and finish it. We were going to take a trip and we were in the country. And I mean, it's open, just desert, open, gorgeous, gorgeous, unbelievable. And I went and got a leather um, suitcase and was kind of long and narrow. Open it up, and a tarantula, a female, jumped out and landed on my elbow. It was a bigger house, and it was big. It was not beautiful. It was a brown one, and the only thing I could think of at the moment was, Larry. Comes running, he says, "What are you screaming about?" And I left my arm up. He says, "Well, knock it off." I was I was frozen with this great big, like my hand, boom, like this. But in that part of the world, it's very common. And I knocked it into the tub. We got a garbage can and we took it outdoors. They didn't kill, you can't kill something that big when it's as big as your hand. You know, who's going to step on it, right? So we took it outdoors and we saw many more that summer. So we were there a few years, and it was something I wasn't expecting to see, as well as scorpions. And so going to bed at night, what was my thoughts? You got it. One time I went to bed and a scorpion was crawling up my leg, and I screamed and jumped up into the covers back. My husband had to take it outside. A scorpion. Why me? Well, because now I get to talk to you about how do you calm your mind down? How did I do that? Overexposure. I saw enough of them. And so therapy, sometimes when you're afraid of something enough, it's not like you're going to put your head in a box and they're going to drop the spiders out until you get over it, like the TV shows. But what they will do is say, take you to a zoo or reptile center and let you see that they're harmless. Only if you aggravate or harm them do they bite you back. Now, we have skunks in our neighborhood. Why here? I don't know, but it's always. And unless you run after them, you are safe. And I walk almost every night and I see skunks everywhere. The cats don't bother them. And they're just carrying on. The skunks are living here just like the cats do. And you get to a place you could allow it. That doesn't mean I'm going to allow a rattlesnake to live in my neighborhood. And I remember running when I was running a lot and riding horses. There are a lot of rattlesnakes on Auburn Lake trails from Granite Bay, Douglas, and Auburn Folsom, all the way up to the town of Auburn. And I lived halfway in between, and I would run from Tanglewood, Regina Trails, Granite Bay, all the way up to Auburn. Back it was 13 miles. And we saw a lot of them. And I remember running and jumping over them. The worst accident I ever had on a horse is my horse Butters was a quarter appy, very, very tall, 17 hands at least. I remember I never could get on her, had to always have a post or something. Anyway, she got scared by a rattlesnake going over the cliff. And I held onto her saddle, and she turned sideways onto her back. And I went over to her belly, and she hit a boulder. Not hard, because we both survived. But I got up and went top, and it was a rattlesnake. One of the worst accidents I've ever had. And Linda and her daughter, um, Linda said to me, "Do you want to walk back?" And I says, "I have to get on the horse because if I don't, I'll never get on the horse again." That's how we conquer it. It's a one-time event, and you get to a place of saying, "That happened. I survived. It worked." No, I don't want everybody to call me, "Well, my son didn't survive," or "that was something else." I'm talking about events like mine. It was scary enough. I've had, Shar and I were talking about, they say cats have 9 lives. I've used up eight of them already with all my close calls. Oh, Shar, is the screen frozen again? I keep
No,
seeing the screen flip out. So they
it's
say
just
is over exposing yourself to what you're afraid of the most. If you're afraid of guns, go. And I have two friends, mother and daughter. Mother's passed away, and so they had a kind of a phobia against the guns, and so they joined a um, gun range, what do they call them, and they bought a gun each, and they were little women size, and they got over the fear of that to be able to protect themselves because they felt that was what they would do, and so they became very comfortable with that. So once we become comfortable, even if you step on one in the night, you say, "Oh, I'm so sorry." A lot of people go and they kill everything in the world, and I look at it and go, "There's some spirit in there. There's a life form." No, I'm not somebody that won't eat beef. I'm not total a vegetarian. My husband loves steak every night if he could have it. But the thing is that there are, if I step on a spider, I try not to kill it. That's the kind of person I am. So exposure therapy is a really good thing. Um, Identify with your feelings of anxiety and replace it with a positive action. That poor spider that jumped in my arm that was as big as my hand. I mean, it was huge.
Mhm.
Clearly, it had babies in there, and I can't remember how I cleaned it out. We don't remember seeing it, but it was inside the suitcase, just open enough where it wasn't wholly, totally zipped up. The more exposure, um, and then identify why am I so afraid of spiders is because it's unexpected. Now, spider falls on the ceiling. I go, really? It startled me, but it didn't scare me anymore. Um, Relaxation and meditation. I believe that relaxation and meditation is always a good thing. I don't know that I would call it medicine,
Mhm.
medication. I wouldn't do that ever. I don't like to take medicine. I take very few now. I take more vitamins than anything else, all that. They say relaxation is to contemplate the reasoning behind your fears. You could relax all day long, get up in the night, step on a spider, and all that's out the window. um, and so I think relaxation is a moment of you contemplating the reasoning why you're so frightened. And the universe is an amazing synchronicitous situation. I believe in the domino effect. If you get scared today, it may
Mhm.
have you may have time to realize you're okay. And then when it happens again, you relax and go, okay, I remember that. I'm going to learn to breathe through this
Mhm.
experience of seeing the spider land on my arm. Um, when I was a child, you think I wouldn't like to camp, but my father was killed in April of '55. So it must have been the prior summer that we spent the summer in Lake Tahoe. And for showers, they had an outdoor bathroom shower area. So you walk in on planks, and the shower would be a stall like a toilet would be with a curtain. And I remember
Mhm.
looking up at the ceiling, and there were spider webs above me. It was open to the ceiling so that the steam could go up. And I remember thinking, is there spiders up there? Here I am, a 6-year-old, looking down, looking up, and going, oh my God, mom put me in here and I'm all by myself. Of course, she was out there with the curtain waiting for me. But I remember thinking how she abandoned me. Here I am, 6 years old. So, in some ways, we have to control those things and say to the child, see that spider up there, those spider webs? They really like it in here because of the moisture of the shower. They're going to thank you for allowing them to be rewarded by the mist of the shower. You have to talk to your children. See, I would love to have that said to me. I would love to have gone to see on the waterfront with her and say, this is a pretend story. These people are
Mhm.
actors. You have to reinforce those things to your children out there. And we don't think of that. When I was raising kids, uh, we went through a period of time of killing rabbits. We brought
Mhm.
and the children were horrified. And I remember them wanting to name them. And I remember the horror of knowing that in the garage, my first husband, would put big garbage bags and staple on the wall, and it would become the den of killing. Love rabbit, love rabbit. But yet it was very hard on us, especially my daughter. Okay, so oops, the universe is, and I would talk about to know frequency, vibration, and gravity. And I want to talk about uh, the unknown as far as things that happen around us. Like a Skywalker Ranches show is one of my favorite, and it's all about what are you afraid of in the night and dark? You think that you're going to get picked up with an alien, and I think watching these shows on Skywalker Ranch and Ancient Aliens has allowed us to broaden our scope of what the universe is really about. And children also need to have that because we're doing a lot of um, out of space movies. And how do you explain that to a child? And you have to go, the car now flies. The car wants to go somewhere else for excitement and travel.
Mhm.
Make the new things that you see on TV exciting for the children. There's a lot of YouTube about exploration of space, um, of aliens, of travel from, well, Skywalker Ranch. They talk
Mm-hmm.
about wormholes, all kinds of things. You have to let that child know that's not near you, them. This show is about somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really, really important. I don't want to, wrote this up thinking I would talk about energy this way, but I think we divert too far from the thread we're talking about. But as you see something on TV and the child's in the room, I'm more concerned about a child being impacted by things they don't understand. Like they'll think about, oh, a spaceship went into a hole in space. Is my world going to
Mm-hmm.
go in there? Am I going to have to worry about that in the middle of the night? That's when the damage is done is the middle of the night. And the child is told by the parents, get in the bed or I'm going to swat you. And the child goes, I'm so scared and you're going to hit me. You got to go to a place. I never remember saying things like that to the kids. I didn't get up and, as I'm going to show you, because it never occurred to us. But if I can help you think through how we're um, impressing their children with things that wouldn't hurt us, but in the child's mind, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-year-old, they don't have the understanding. If they get exposed to on the TV, you have to play it down a little bit because that's pretend. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I told you about 1954, going July 1954, the movie come out on the waterfront. I thought this was happening on the screen. That these fights in this was a violent movie about a fighter
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't look up the storyline, but I remember he had been a fighter. And I remember him yelling, I could have been more, and you didn't let me, about being a fighter. I want to bring up something that was in the news that children did hear about. There was two preteen girls, 12 and 13, I think, and they became afraid of a man-made monster. And this is a true story. The Slender Man was created by people. And if you think of something that scares you, what if there was a man in the forest and he was not visually seen very, like a shadow, and enough people believed it? Do you think that people after a while would think it's a true story? Someone saw a shadow and it was a tall, thin man, and we're going to name it the Slender Man to see if we can
Mm-hmm.
scare people. Well, guess what happened? Two little girls saw it and believed it. And they start reading up on this. And I can't address the mentality, emotional mentality of these girls. I cannot address the drama trauma that caused them to think this was okay. I don't know what I could say, but I want to be careful because I would never want to imply that you have someone out there has a child that were willing to do this. But they were both afraid enough. They wanted to appease the slimmer man so that he would not bother them or be in his best and his graciousness. Somehow they misconstrued this, and they talked to a little girlfriend of theirs to go to the forest, and they thought that they killed her. The slender man, who was part of the forest, would shine on them favoritism. And this is a terrible story, but this is what fear can end up doing. Fear can end up being something that construes in their mind truthfulness. They never talked to anybody about it. They didn't talk to the parents, the friends, the schools. They just felt like it was upon them to do this. Well, the universe had the storyline play out. The little girl, I'm going to address this. I don't want the children to hear this, what I'm going to say next. But they did try to end her life, and it was not her time. And I feel like when I hear stories like this, and this girl's going to go on to do other things, and I think she's already talked about some kind of program to help other kids. Um, I'm going to go to, okay, this child did survive, hopefully with counseling. Forever, if not forever, be afraid of her friends. Any friend that she had come into her, is it going to happen again? Kitchen knives, being in the forest, shadows out of the corner of her eye, being friends again with other women and learning to trust in any relationships, particularly future relationships. Because once you're injured like this, and it's girls in high school, whatever you can, that you will forget and you will mesh the boundary. So if you're afraid of your girlfriend, like you're growing up and you're afraid of having friends, eventually that will go over to boyfriend. And that line can be damaged also. Um, if you have children that are afraid of the dark, leave the nightlight on or door open. Absolutely, that's common. I remember raising the kids, and one child wanted the door closed, the other one didn't. I'm one that likes it closed because I like quiet, uh, and so the other one didn't. Um, And this is how I would like you. This is my impression. I'd like you to hear what I'm saying and digest it so it fits a ceremony for you and your child if you have one that's afraid. And sometimes we don't pay attention to the details of afraid. Oh, Mom, I don't want to sleep in here by myself. Well, you're getting too old. You stay in here. Well, you need to take it another step and say, well, why are you afraid not to be alone? Create a ceremony. First, find out exactly where the child feels, young adult, preteen, or whatever age, where the child feels danger. Is it under the bed or in the closet? Is it in the hallway when you have the door open and they see shadows going by and it's actually you and they don't know it's you? If possible, see if the child can draw the fear he feels or tell a story. So even if the child's in bed says, I'm really afraid, I don't want to be by myself in here, well, I want to hear, I want you to share with me and I want to listen to you because you're important. I would like to know if you can share with me why you're afraid. If you have to put a light in the closet and close the door, so be it. But this is something I want to go on. Um, while listening to the young child, or I would say 2, 3, 4, up to 10, 11, 12, see if it's something they saw on TV. Now they're parlaying it to their bedroom. There's been many movies out there where the child as an actor, and there's some gruesome hand that comes up out from underneath the bed and goes, scratches their leg. So you need to find out if they saw it on TV. Yep. And then Google the movie to Dickens and find an interview with the child or the actors or the costume designers. You can do that. How many TV shows, movies that go back call it behind the scenes type of thing. Find them and find out how a creature hand is made and show them it's all pretend. Uh, did they read a comic book? How many comic books are there out there? When I was a preteen, a teenager, I was an avid reader. I had lots and lots of comic books, spent all my allowance on them. And I remember being Superman. I remember outer space, but I don't remember the violence that they show today. So today is a lot of violence, and they're parlayed now into TV, Marvel's comic book series, all the bullets and guts and goom and everything. Now it's comical to watch. Um, what's that? I don't watch it. You can tell I don't watch it. Uh, Dead Again type of movies, with these. Anyway, a TV show or a comic, a conversation you had with someone that the child could have overheard. Maybe you saw a real spooky movie. When I was a teenager, um, I watched a movie with a boyfriend, and it was at a drive-in. That's what we did those years. And I think it was 1001 um, corpses, something like that. And I remember thinking how the uh, the makeup, it was so bad in color. But you know what really spooked me? And I don't know how they did it, but clearly it had to be one of the uh, dead people, okay, unalive costume, took a knife and cut the finger off of a person he was trying to attack. Now, where did that come from? How did they use a knife? Weren't they supposed to be dead and not know? And I remember thinking how that would feel. That scared me. Not the pretend uh, Walking Dead type of thing. Corpse. That's what it called. I'll have to look it up, see what. Um, that can unconsciously affect a child. Someone uses a knife on somebody, you have to find out what it is that scared the child and have them tell a story. If they can't, have them draw a picture of what the monster they think it looks like. Because, like I said, it can be a TV show, it can be a comic. If they can give you any indication at all, just ceremony and say, okay, what we're going to do is this is going to be hard, you guys. I want you to go to the kitchen. I want you to find the noisiest pots and pans you can find. I want you to take them upstairs. I want you to beat them underneath the bed. I want you to beat them in the front of the closet. Bang, 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 bang. Get out of here, you monster. You not be in my kid's bedroom. You cannot do this. Make noise, empower the child, and let the child see that you're not afraid, but you're also willing to fight to keep the child safe. It's the total picture. And it's like I tell you, if you think there is a ghost or a spirit in your house and you don't want them there, why are you afraid? These are people. If that person could manifest solidness and came to the front door like a normal person that's alive would you let them come in the house and scare you? You got to tell the child that. Of whom are you afraid? Do you think if they came to the front door and they look like what you think, you would let them in? No. So if you think that child's in here, that monster's in here, we're going to bang, we're going to scream and go bang, bang, bang. And you do it every night until the kid says, I think I'm okay. Or we're waking the neighbors up at 8 o'clock. But what you want to
Hmm.
do is ceremony. And then when no longer is afraid, then somehow burn that piece of paper up. You keep those. And then you ceremoniously the next day take it out and burn it in your yard. Don't start a forest fire. Listen, I'm not promoting that. Somehow get rid of the drawings. They are for never, these are gone forever in your life. We banged and made a lot of noise. And if you get scared, we'll draw it again. And we're going to bang underneath the bed. We're going to bang in the closet until you feel safe. Because unless you step up as a parent, you go, all right, my young child, I'm raising you. I want you to be a normal human, not normal, as a mentally healthy adult. I want to take charge. I want to show you I'm going to protect you. I'm going to show you we're going to have fun with this. You get these old big old giants and you get a stick, a wooden mallet, or not mallet, but a stir stick made of wood. You go bang, 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 make a lot of noise. If there's a bug, if there's even a bug in your closet, it's going to run for even if it's a little tiny mouse. You think it's going to stay in your closet? Oh no, no. I've seen kids. I'm not sure who it is. But I remember visiting with somebody, and you can buy stars of the universe and put them on the ceiling.
Oh, you did?
Gives just enough light, huh?
I have it. I have that in my bedroom.
Yeah, fluorescent. Yeah, and
Yeah.
in
They
the
glow in
middle
the
of the
dark.
night,
Yeah.
light
It's
them
really
all up.
cool. It's really cool.
Put them
And
on your
then,
closet door. Put them underneath your bed.
well, after I repainted, because I
Put them
painted the room
everywhere.
white,
That
I
child
had
needs
to
to know
paint
it's
over
safe.
them. I painted over them because I painted the room white, and they still show. It's really cool
And
to
they
look
still
up there at
glow.
night. Yeah, it's really cool to
Yeah.
look up there at
Mhm.
night in the dark.
So the ceremony is important for you. It's for the child to feel safe and that you want to protect them. For the rest of that
Hmm.
child's life, they're going to see you as a hero. Building trust that these terrible crimes will not happen because you lock up the monster. That child watch you lock everything. So the next step is after the ceremony, you take the child down and you lock every window, every door. Okay, we scared that off. It ran through the house out the front door. Okay, we've locked everything now, and you do that every night until the child says it's enough. I'm okay now. If what happens if the child wakes up 2 or 3 in the morning? Oh, there's something. You get those pots and pans. You make all kinds of noise. You scare it away, and then you show them all the doors and the windows are locked. How did that creature that you think is under your bed or in your closet is in there?
Right.
You prove to that child you're the hero of that child's life, and that child will always be safe with you banging on pots and pans in the middle of the night. Absolutely. Um, and I always told about bad things coming to the door, not to let them in. And I would say, I also add, how mad are you that this individual thing is in your life? You get mad, you have that child yell at this, oh, I don't want this, and have to hold out that piece of paper if that has a stick drawing it. This represents their fear. Have them get mad at it. Don't you dare come to my house. Don't you dare think you can fright me because it won't. I tell you, you'll empower that child forever. Okay. Or ask the child, does it feel safer? Always ask that. Do you feel safe? And when the child says yes, then you don't have to do the ceremony anymore. But that could come up at any time in the future. Be willing to be called upon in the middle of the night if the child sees a shadow and is scared. This is your child. You want to prove to him or her you will protect and make safe the house for them. Building trust and safety is very, very important. Anger from an early age sets up decades of issues that surface and create many issues that are exhibited in a very unconscious phobia or life threatening behavior they cannot express and why. So, fear and anxiety from an unknown source cannot be understood invisibly, but can be reflected as anger in a teenager or young adult and onward. I was not protected. I did not know. I had fear in my life. The door was closed. My parents didn't let me be safe. So they built up an uncomfortable anger of the parent not protecting them. Believe it. How many women have children mad at them still because of the relationship with the father was unhealthy? That's unconscious. Will go
Mhm.
through the whole life. Now make the child 6 years old and you still don't protect them. How many years will they be angry that you let them down? They do not have reasoning. How many of these children are so damaged by a childhood of fear and anxiety? Um, and even the fear of hearing the mother and father fight downstairs or in the front room, and they can't do anything about it. That invisible wound will carry them forever. We can't allow that to happen. We have to protect that child. And it's the same of being scared of the monster. The child may even say to you, I don't know what the monster is, but the voices that I hear are scaring me, meaning you and your spouse fighting all the time. That child will
Mhm.
feel insecure and unsafe because they don't know how to deal with the anxiety that you exhibit, but of what they feel. It's the same thing of a real break-in of somebody. Someone's house is broken into. You have no control. You're fearful for
Mhm.
your life and your that's what the child feels. And that's our job is to find out how to keep the child safe. And as I tell my family, uh, us grandparents spend way too much money on a portable piano. And the other grandmother bought him a violin, and the mother says, I don't have time for lessons. I said, that's not the point. The point is what type of magic do they have? Our idea is to give them piano, let them play on it. It doesn't mean lessons. It means one of them may have be a genius. And it's our job to find that magic. It's also our job to say they have to have the freedom not have fear in their life so they
Mhm.
can explore who they are and their magic. I I've always been intuitive. In fact, the day I got married in a Catholic church, high noon mass wedding. How many out there went down that road really? Up and down, up and down. I remember seeing a ghost person. And he was an older man, excuse me, when he died, he was older. He had gray hair, he was slim, and he was making fun of us up on our knees. And he was walking around. Well, Catholic people don't think that way. You go and rest in the dirt until you're called. And here this guy was walking around. I go, what is that about, right? So I've always had this in my
Mhm.
life, and I never could understand. And on some level, it was a negative, not a positive. My mother didn't like it. She didn't like that I told Dad, "Please don't go. We'll never see you again." He was on his way out the house that Friday night, and he got killed Sunday night, April 1st, 1955, 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, duh. So I get into this, and all these things happen, and it brought up negative from my mother shaking her fist at me. Don't you ever do that again. And it's been a real struggle for me to accept this. And when I finally did, I found out, wow, there's magic. It's too bad this magic, what I have, wasn't allowed to flourish at 6, 7, 8,
Mhm.
9, 10, whatever years ago. So we
Mhm.
all are parenting. We got to find the magic of what the child's about. I have a granddaughter just started college and in Boston, and she wants to be a film script writer. She wants to make movies. Where did that come from? My son wants he went to ASU and he's in the space program. Where did that come from? It was magic because we don't know how we're influencing our children. So my
Mhm.
son took his daughters to see Hamilton. Well, this one girl, she's on the high end of the spectrum. Yeah, we got one of those. She memorized the entire movie, everybody's lines. Not not just one character, the entire play. Yeah, we got one of those. So she had discovered her magic by just going to a play. When I asked my son where did it come from, he saw a movie. I can't remember which one it was. No, he saw one movie and it inspired him and forever changed his path. It's your job as parents to uncover that magic. And if we can do that and keep that in our mind, let's take it one step, protect them from what they cannot and they don't know what's in the dark. Ceremonies are for closure, forgiveness, and acceptance of being able to have a fresh start. And I really believe that. And any age, we can have closure, forgiveness, acceptance, including children from past life and trauma and drama. The little boy that said he was James 3 and that he was shot down in an airplane. Um, and I can't remember what he said. James is falling into the ocean plane. When they discovered he was telling the truth and that he knew what plane he was flying, he knew the aircraft carrier that it flew off of. He knew of at the reunion, he recognized the people that lived were still alive when he met them. And of course, they were in the late 70s. He recognized his sister that was still alive in her 80s. And he was drama and trauma because he could never forget the death of that James in that lifetime. That carried over. So at 2 and 3 years old, he was drawing pictures of planes crashing into the ocean and caught on fire. So if you saw it as a parent and understand that, you say, oh my God, how we handle this? You have to ask questions. If it's a past life and it plays out in the middle of the night, be curious and forgiving that this happened. You have to forgive it. So what they did is they did ceremony. They flew the child all the way over the coast of Japan, and they put a reef in the water, and they said goodbye to that life, and the child is fine. I think he's in his 20s now. They wrote a movie about it, but I forgot the name of it. I just remember talking about. I'm just bringing it up now because I'm remembering to speak of it. So in some ways, you're having closure, getting rid of the ugly things in the night, in the dark. That child can let that go and have a fresh start. Same with, and be careful, if it's a child that's talking of a past life at 2, 3, and 4, same thing, write it up and discern the difference between an invisible monster and the little boy who said he was like 3, 4 years old. He said, I jumped out of a window. I was a lady. I jumped out of a building and died. It was on fire. And the mother on the children's show, I think it was channel on YouTube, LMN, and he said, I had dark skin. I was a lady. And he was able to give enough information of a fire in Chicago that the mother actually found that situation. So in some ways, the child was screaming, yell at night, and the parent would not been able to figure out how to have closure. But believing in the child that there's something wrong that's scaring them. Remember, whatever scares that child in the middle of the night, that is their truth. And that's something they will not surrender unless they have help. If you don't do anything, you ignore and negate the importance of this, that'll be an invisible wound until they manage some kind of therapy later on in life. Okay, that's my show for tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. Part two.
Yeah, part two. That
Okay,
was
Shar.
great. That was absolutely great. Let me
Oh,
straighten
let
up
me,
here.
if you want to look
I
me
keep.
up, my website is nancymatz.com. Nancy Matz author. And then the third place is I'm about ready to start anytime I finally finish the taxes from last year. I'm in this mess this year. Um, so I'll have a channel. My channel where I have all Shar shows also is Nancy Matt Psych. Okay, Shar, now go ahead.
Okay, okay. I keep sinking in this chair. So I'm going to do a special pop-up psychic development class on Sunday. It's the last weekend of summer. We got a 3-day weekend, but why not? If any of you are interested, like in some of the stuff that Nancy's been talking about, and you want to learn, I'm not going to say an easy way to communicate, but a way to communicate with the other side without being afraid that something negative is going to come through. I can help you do that. I can teach you how to do that. So I thought I would do something around Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific, and we could set up a pop-up psychic development class on Sunday. So it'll be kind of fun, a last-minute class. But I'm open to everybody who wants to come can come. And I will be putting a link out on Facebook tonight. I will be putting a link out via email as well. I'll put a link over at the Patreon. And remember, Patreon numbers. Patreon members get 10% off. So if you remember my Patreon, you can come into the class and you get at 25 a ticket, it's 10% off. So it's a hell of a deal to get you guys in there. But come on over on Sunday and spend some of your Sunday with me, and I'll teach you the basics of psychic development. You too can talk to dead people. So, okay. Anyway, that all being said,
Yay.
I will see you guys Sunday. Either way, I will be here reading from the book, Vampire, Bram Stoker's Dracula, and hopefully teaching on Sunday because that would be nice. And yeah, I just want to impart some of my knowledge to you guys because I was self-taught. Nobody taught me how to see things or be silent or be sensitive. It just happened, and then nobody was around to help me. So what did I? You know what's weird? Look at my hand. Is that weird or what? Okay, we got this hand, because I have a red light on that side.
I don't know what you're looking at.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
right.
looking like my hand looks almost purple. See the difference in lights? Because I have a red light I use on that side, and then I have a regular light on this side. See, I'm good with my face, but if I bring anything else up, it looks weird. Looks like I'm having issues, blood issues. But anyway, it's gonna be like that today. But anyway, like I said, I would like to impart some of the knowledge, stuff that I experienced that made it a lot easier for me to be able to do this kind of work. Because like I said, I had no teacher, so I had to teach myself how to do it and control it. So I will teach you how to control it. I will teach you how to open and close that psychic door. Because again, not everything nice is going to come through once you open, but you'll know how to shut it right away. Okay, so if you're interested in
Mhm.
that, you know, put your feelers out. I'll be getting that. In fact, after I get off this show tonight, I will set that up over at the meetup, and I'll get the links out for you guys and everything. And come back to this video. Come to our YouTube site, youtube.com/at California Haunts Radio, and I'll put the link to it down below, so you guys can find it for that class. But I thought it'd be kind of neat. It's last weekend. I used to go camping. This is the month I would go camping with my mother every year. And I remember Mount Lassen. We went to Mount Lassen one year, and it was 105 degrees when we got there. Wasn't a problem. Decided to stay on the summit, at the very top, and it was still 105 degrees when we went to bed. So I went ahead. I didn't even put the cover on the tent. I thought, oh, it's hot. It's not going to be a problem. Wrong. Overnight, it went down to 18 degrees. And it's a good
Actually,
thing.
let me share a funny story.
Yeah.
My mother, she passed away in '09, but it must have been 10 years. I have no idea. I can't remember when it was, but it might have been 10 years earlier. And she loved to camp. And I took her to Fawn Leaf Lake at Lake Tahoe.
Hmm.
And it was warm, middle of summer, beautiful, beautiful. And I took a tent. We went up there, but no one told me I had to prep the tent and get it wet. And during the night, it rained, and all the condensation filled up the bottom of the tent, and we were floating in our airbags.
That's funny.
In the middle of the night, my mother wakes up. She says, "Oh my God, we had to get out. We got in our car, and then a bear came through."
Oh
I
my
love these
God.
stories forever. And I want to mention, hello, Marissa. I heard there are large spiders in Australia, the size of small bulldogs. No, thank you. I actually seen some of the Australian shows on TV, and this huge spider up on the ceiling outside door, the door in the eaves. It was a brown
No,
with
thank you.
huge, like legs, this huge,
No,
huge.
thank you.
One of those jump tomorrow, I'll probably faint. I'll never forget when Larry wants to start laughing. He'll say, "Remember that spider?" I go, "Yeah."
That's funny. That's funny. Back back to camping. So
Yeah.
the temperature goes down. I had bought 2 Arctic sleeping bags ahead of time, so I had them.
Oh,
The problem was
uh-huh.
they were narrow. I have wide shoulders, so it was narrow. So my mother had no problem getting into these things. Getting into her. She was all nice and warm. It took me at least 45
Yeah.
minutes to squeeze into mine to get to a good position. Next thing I hear is this is like midnight now, right? And I didn't get firewood that night either because we got up there late. I thought it was going to be hot, so it didn't matter, right? Froze our butts off. And I remember I finally crawled into this thing, got all warm, and my mother looks at me and says, "I have to go to the bathroom." And I said, "You're kidding. I just
I
crawled into this
miss
thing."
your mother. I love it.
Yeah.
I can
So
see
she
her
went
doing
out and
that.
she went the wrong way because I made sure we were near the bathroom. There were only like 4 of us up there camping in this site because there was hardly anybody up there. Probably because they all knew it was going to get colder in hell, And, And so I had to chase her in the dark and go, where do you think you're going? Come back over this way. It's over here. So then we get back, and of course, now it's like 12:30, 1 o'clock. It's gonna take me another 3 hours to squeeze into this stupid thing, So I did finally, and I fell asleep. Then I woke up with an altitude headache because like I said, we were up the summit. But my mother, leave it to her. She's all warm and toasty. She don't care. And then it takes me forever, and she says I gotta go to the bathroom. And I thought, oh man, I gotta get up now and get out of this thing, to go do that. So yeah, and then the next night was back to normal, back in the 80s and 90s. But we had one night at 18 degrees where it went down. Lesson learned: never go camping
All
without
right,
having firewood, and never go camping without having the cover for your tent to put over the top, the rainfly cover, ever.
right.
Okay,
Unless you
guys.
prep it first and get it wet.
Yeah,
Build it in your
yeah,
backyard and get it wet.
yep. Okay, guys. Well, that's it. I will
All
see
right, kid.
I will see you Sunday either at 3 p.m. Pacific, Psychic Development class, or our 6 p.m. show where I'm reading from Bram Stoker's Dracula. All right, guys. Have a great one. Have a great weekend, Nancy. Everybody have a good one.
Thank you. And you too. 3-day weekend, everybody. Have fun.
Yep. Have fun.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Unpleasant dreams.
Um,